So Microsoft has finally stopped supporting the Xbox 360. I'm sure the PS3 isn't very far behind from Sony. So let's talk about the games that made this awesome console generation. Okay, so today this is going to be a top 10 list. This top 10 list is a list of 10 games or game series that really made this console generation for me. And by this past console generation, I mean PS3, Xbox 360, and the Nintendo Wii. Yes, you could say that the Wii is the generation before this because of the low-end hardware, but because of the time that it came out and the immense popularity that the Wii had, there were some really great games on the system. I've actually only got one on the list here, and you guys are going to find out which one that is here in a second. But I want to tell you guys that these are games that I've owned or I own. I don't have an Xbox 360 or any of those games anymore, and the Xbox 360 game that makes it to the list, I obviously don't have it because I don't have the system. So, let's get into the games. Starting at number 10, I'm going to go ahead and start with that one Xbox 360 game, and that, my friends, is Dead Rising. Dead Rising was this awesome game, and pretty much everybody's heard of it, everybody's played it, but you got to run through a mall, go through the stores, you got to get all these wacky weapons and kill zombies. What more do you need for a great game than running through a mall and tearing zombies to bits? I love going into the hardware store and getting the postal digger and just having a zombie spinning around on the blade and just knocking other zombies over with it. The game had a pretty decent difficulty level to it, but it wasn't impossible to beat. It was a lot of fun, and it was a game that I really enjoyed in the Xbox 360. If I ever get into 360 collecting, that is going to be the first game that I go to add back into my collection. So number 9 is a game on the Wii. It's a game that I believe was a launch title for the system, but don't quote me on that. And that is Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Now, I know some of you guys are probably thinking, hey, that came out on the GameCube too. And yes, it did, and the GameCube version was superior to this because this had those stupid motion controls. But overall, this is like one of the best Zelda games. It's definitely the best current gen, I guess you could say, Zelda game out there. And it just got an HD remake on the Wii U. But I just loved this game. This is a game that really, really made me just love the Wii. This is pretty much the only game that I love on the Wii. There are some great games on the Wii, games that I really enjoy, but this is the game that just, I will play this for hours on end and just get lost in it. It's a wonderful game, and anybody should check it out. It's one of the best Zelda titles out there, and I recommend this to anybody. If you're getting into the Wii, get Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Coming in at number 8, Street Fighter 4. Now, as you can see, I have the Super version here. There's also Super Arcade Edition, Ultra Edition, and of course regular Street Fighter 4. They're pretty much made like a buttload of versions of the game like they did with Street Fighter 2. But this game is incredible. I was so excited when Street Fighter 4 was released. I even bought the special edition of the original Street Fighter 4 that came with the anime movie, The Ties That Bind, on Blu-ray. But this is a really incredible fighting game. This is a solid fighter. The combos are great. Sure, some of the characters can be cheap, especially Ken, who's my favorite one to play as. But I love this game. This is one of the best fighting games you can get your hands on. So I definitely recommend Street Fighter 4. Coming in at number 7, Red Dead Redemption. You like Grand Theft Auto? You like the Wild Wild West? This is the game for you. I'm not into Westerns or cowboys and Indians and all that stuff, but this game is so much fun. This is actually the Game of the Year edition that has Undead Nightmare on it, which is where you play as John Marston going against zombies. Now, this game would have been higher on the list. This game would have been a lot higher on the list if it weren't for the ending. The ending is terrible. Just one of the worst endings in video game history. I've never been made so angry by a video game ending, but this game is fun. This game is hours and hours of gameplay. And on a side note, this is the only video game my wife has beaten. Okay? My wife doesn't play games. She doesn't really like video games, but this she loves. And like when my wife is excited about a game sequel with Red Dead Redemption 2 possibly coming out on the PS4 soon, this has definitely got to be on the really high up on the list of one of those games that makes a console generation. I loved this game. I'm eventually going to play Undead Nightmare, but the ending made me so mad to the regular version that I didn't want to come near it for a very long time, but I think I'm just about ready to play Undead Nightmare. So, number 7, Red Dead Redemption. So number 6 is a beautiful game. A game that will capture your eye and your imagination, and that is Ni no Kuni: Wrath of the White Witch. Wow, this is an amazing role-playing game. Ni no Kuni, the best way I can describe it is Star Ocean meets Pokemon. Meets obviously a Miyazaki film because Miyazaki worked on this game. But the animation is beautiful. Like in the anime cutscenes, it's amazing, but what else will we expect from Studio Ghibli animation? The character designs, the graphics, the whole game is just a treat for the eyes. You will just be drooling over how pretty this game is. This game is beautiful. Not to mention the incredible story and characters. This is one of my favorite role-playing games. This is up there with Final Fantasy IV, Chrono Trigger, like Legend of Zelda series. This right here is amazing, and I would suggest this to anybody. So at number 6, Ni no Kuni. Alright, coming in at number 5 is a game that a lot of people wouldn't put on their list. A lot of people would say, whatever to that game. But that is Ghostbusters, the video game. This game is everything you can want for a Ghostbusters video game. This is the only game, well, one of the only games, there have been a few, but this is one of the only games that I have sat and played all the way through multiple times this generation. Most games do not warrant me coming back and playing it over and over again, but this one did. I've gotten like 80-some% of the trophies that obviously aren't online trophies. You can't get those anymore because the network for the game is down. But I've gotten as many of the online trophies and as many of the offline trophies as I can get. There's maybe like 1 or 2 trophies that I'm missing that are single-player trophies. But this game is awesome. You have all the original voice cast back. You play as a new Ghostbuster known as the Rookie. And he's kind of a generic guy, but that's kind of to keep the story moving with the other 4 Ghostbusters. The only people you don't have back from the original movies is Sigourney Weaver and Rick Moranis. The game is just a whole lot of fun. If I could compare what a simulator to being a Ghostbuster would be like, it would be this game. If I could imagine what being a Ghostbuster is really like, this is it, guys. This is the closest thing we're gonna get. And this is awesome. This is basically Ghostbusters 3. It's the closest thing to Ghostbusters 3 we'll ever see. I'm a Ghostbusters fanboy. I love it. Number 5, Ghostbusters. Alright guys, I'm going to take you for a ride. Number 4, Marvel vs. Capcom 3! This is another amazing fighting game. I'm a fighting fan. I love fighting games. From the first time I ever grabbed a controller and played Street Fighter 2, I knew the type of game that I was going to love for the rest of my life, and that is fighters. From Street Fighter to Mortal Kombat, Tekken, all of these games I love, and I like to pat myself on the back and say I'm pretty good at them. But Marvel vs. Capcom 3, this is the ultimate version. There's just regular Marvel vs. Capcom 3 as well. But this is an awesome fighting game. You get all these great Marvel characters, all these great Capcom characters, and they come together so beautifully. The fighting is balanced and fair, it's not cheap, and it's just a whole lot of fun. So at number 4, Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Okay guys, so number 3, a lot of you probably think should be at number 1. And it's an awesome game, but it's not number 1 for me. But I still love it, and that is Grand Theft Auto 5. This game took everything we could ever want for a Grand Theft Auto game and did it right. From what I understand, the online mode is great. I don't really like online games, so I never really played GTA Online. But GTA 5 is an awesome game. You've got 3 playable characters that you go back and forth and play as. The story is massive. The game is massive. The city in the game is huge. The character development in the story is great. The graphics are beautiful. Just almost next gen. And they push the PS3 and the Xbox 360 to its limits. This is one of the best games you will ever get your hands on. Grand Theft Auto 5 definitely is one that you should add to your collection. So once again, at number 3, GTA 5. Alright guys, so coming in at number 2 is actually 3 games. It's a series that I kind of stumbled upon. I wasn't really looking to get into this series, but I fell in love with it. That's the Uncharted games. These are 3 amazing titles. These are games that just blew me away. When I played Uncharted 1, I didn't know what I was getting into. I figured it was just Tomb Raider. So much more. So much more. The climbing, the exploration, the environments were just amazing. Uncharted 2 added to that gameplay and made it so much better. I loved Uncharted 2. It was an amazing game. The story was great. The characters they developed so well. And wow, like so much goodness. Like there's no other word. So much goodness is in this series. And this is definitely one of those games that if you don't have it, you need to have it. The Uncharted games are just phenomenal. And of course, Uncharted 3. I just beat this a couple weeks ago. This is a great game. This is a lot of fun. I had a hard time getting through it. It's not as good as 1 and 2, but it definitely keeps you on the edge of your seat. The graphics, again, like GTA 5, push the PS3 to its limits. Like, I don't think you can get much better than this in GTA 5 as far as graphics. They're just both beautiful games. They're gorgeous. Of course, the voice acting and stuff is great in these games as well. I love the Uncharted series. So, at number 2, Uncharted. Now, number 1 is actually the game that I bought a PS3 for. Up until that point, I was against the PS3, mostly because of the price point, and I had a 360 and a Wii. I didn't have a PS3 yet. And the game that sold me on a PS3 that I was just sitting there waiting on, Metal Gear Solid 4. Now, this is the collection version. I also have the single edition as well. But Metal Gear Solid 4 was the game that sold me on a PS3. This is number 1. This is one of my favorite game series of all time. I love every Metal Gear game. Even Rising, which most people think sucks. Even I think it sucks, but I still love it. Rising is still fun. But Metal Gear Solid 4, oh my god, blew me away. I did not know that a gaming experience could be so wonderful, so grand, so huge, and beautiful and amazing. Metal Gear Solid 4 is literally my favorite game on the PS3. So, at number 1 is MGS4. The collection is great. This has 1, 2, 3 VR missions. What's the other game it has on here? Has Metal Gear 1 and 2, the MSX versions, and Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker on it, as well as the digital comics. And just, man, this is the game you want to get. If you don't have it, I urge that you get it. It's one of the best games. And honestly, all these games that I'm putting on this list, I urge you guys to go out and buy these games for your collection. If you don't have them, go get them. They're so much fun. I know I didn't add a lot of Wii games. I know I didn't add a lot of Xbox 360 games. That's just because I'm not that big of a fan of those consoles. The PS3 is kind of my baby. I love it. I love Sony systems. I've been a fan of Sony since the PS1. And I'm going to stick with them till the bitter end. But these are my games that I think are at the top tier that made this console, this past console generation, so wonderful. And I want to know what you guys think. What would be the games that are on your list? Leave me a comment in the section below. Leave me a video comment. And I'll see you guys later.